Hey all, and thanks for joining us on this paranormal pit stop, which tonight lands us at an iconic medieval castle based out of Oslo in Norway that was initially intended to protect the city while acting as residence to royalty, attracting more than 3 million annual visitors, serving as the country's most significant medieval monument, and having successfully survived every siege laid upon it. This ancient defense has long been wrapped in myth, legend, and a multitude of ghost stories. Are you ready to brave the hauntings of Akershus Fortress? Historically, the fortress was constructed through the 1290s by King Haakon V and was intended to act as a defense to the community. And though its official date of construction remains unknown, the first written mentions of this prestigious castle dates back to 1300. In 1308, the fortress would endure its first fight, during which time it was besieged by the Swedish. Their efforts were eventually broken, however, by a local Norwegian army. In 1523, Akershus would find itself besieged by Swedish soldiers yet again. However, Oslo's inhabitants would burn down their own houses and render surrounding lands unlivable, resulting in the army's swift retreat. Following a third siege which lasted from 1531 to 1532, and that once again resulted in the besieging army's retreat, the castle would strengthen its defenses and upgrade its anti-siege measures. Akershus would face numerous smaller conflicts over the centuries, but impressively would never once falter. Following the Great Fire of 1624, King Christian IV would order the relocation and reconstruction of a new city of Oslo, tucked up closer to the fortress. And during this time, Akershus was modernized and remodeled to more closely resemble a Renaissance castle. Up to the turn of the 19th century, the aged defense would act as a palace, with multiple towers, halls, chambers, and gates being added in over time. While the fortress does boast thwarting every siege thrown at it, in 1940 it would surrender to Nazi Germany without combat, after the Norwegian government ordered the evacuation of Oslo, amidst unprovoked assaults on Norway and Denmark. Through World War II, a number of prisoners were executed within Akershus by German occupiers. On May 11th of 1945, the fortress was liberated, and following the war, 8 Norwegian traitors charged with war crimes were executed on site. Within the castle, in 1946, an Armed Forces Museum of Norway, open only to military personnel, was established, and in 1966, the Norwegian Resistance Museum would follow, with the latter being opened up to the public in 1970, and the former in 1978. In the present, Akershus stands as a popular cultural landmark, offering both aforementioned museums, a newer prison museum, and a mess of educational material. Fully restored, the castle often acts as a venue for official events, usually for dinners with dignitaries and foreign heads of state. On a side note, if you're looking to visit Akershus, make sure you check ahead, as though it is open to the public, it's also actively in use through some periods during working days. Akershus has long been surrounded in tales of the supernatural and purported paranormal activity, and to date is recognized as the most haunted castle in the whole of the country. Through its prison years, one section of the fortress was recognized as the slavery, and from it, prisoners could be rented out to work various jobs throughout the city, a system still utilized by many prisons today, albeit under much more comfortable conditions. A number of famous rebels were held on site, and it's suspected hundreds if not thousands of inmates died on Akershus grounds. Additionally, the site's royal mausoleum acts as a final resting place to a number of Norwegian royals, including King Sigurd I, King Haakon V, Queen Euphemia, King Haakon VII, Queen Maud, King Olav V, and the Crown Princess Martha. Both officials and visitors to Akershus Fortress have reported footsteps from empty spaces, disembodied voices, strange smells, and encounters with full-bodied apparitions of nobility, servants, and prisoners, some of which that appear for only moments before fading, and others that appear so real they're mistaken for actors that have even conversed with the living at great lengths. The clatter of prison chains, screams of horror, and moaning has been reported from the old dungeon, and whispers and phantom scratching have been heard from within walls. One famous legend tells of a faceless female entity dubbed Mantelgeisten that appears in a long robe and often emerges from the castle's darkest corners to frighten those nearby. Near the drawbridge, a number of accounts describe the disembodied sounds of battle, as well as the sensation of someone breathing down visitors' necks, a phenomenon suspected to be tied to the spirit of an old gatekeeper, forever maintaining a vigilant watch. Commonly reported across castle grounds is the constant air of being watched, the feeling of being stalked, and the sensations of being touched or grabbed at by invisible hands, with several fortress guards documenting times they were pushed or hit from the darkness while alone on duty. Ghostly guards have been sighted near old or outdated posts and are gone upon second glance, and a large spectral black dog called Malcanison has been sighted seemingly guarding the exterior of the fortress. One legend tells Malcanison's remains are buried near the Maiden Tower, and that anyone it appears to will die a violent death within 3 months of their encounter. Similarly, the sound of horse hooves have also been heard across the grounds, and it's claimed that any who lay eyes on the horse or its rider will die within a year. Lastly, many visiting Akershus have spied creatures called night pyres, or little burning women with evil smiles, whose appearance is said to warn of an impending and dangerous blaze. Thanks for tuning in for this Paranormal Pit Stop. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.